Up next, if we were standing around the LGBTQ water cooler, this is what we think we would all be talking about this week. We refer to it as our hot topic of the week. And that is Florida. Whew, we take a deep breath when we say Florida. The Florida legislature is considering bills attacking diversity rights, abortion protections, undocumented immigrants, and especially last night, as we discussed, free speech in schools, in what critics say is a bid by our governor, Ron DeSantis, to attract a hard-right conservative base that could help project him into winning the Republican presidential nomination in 2024. Our hot topic headline of the week is Florida becomes the central battleground of the United States, the battleground zero location for right-wing authoritarian political and legal push. What do y'all think about what we're watching in Florida?
I think they're trying to get it all in right now. I think they sense that the tide is turning. We've been saying that for a while, but I think they get the sense that it is, and you've got to get it all in right now because everything has aligned. They control the state house, they control the governorships, and they've got a clear path on the court. If they don't do it now, they'll never really be able to get it done. And granted, the damage they're doing now is going to last for decades, and they know that, and they're getting it all done as quickly as possible.
You know something that was super sad yesterday at the rally? The rally was beautiful. It was wonderful. The kids were incredible. What amazing representation, you know, and the unity between everybody. But, you know, what made me super sad, guys, was that I could hear certain activists that were in the crowd saying this is for nothing. You know, DeSantis is going to sign all these, he's going to pass all of this, and none of this that we're doing right now matters. That broke my freaking heart. It really did.
How do we change that?
Vote.
Vote
in November. Use this against them. Bludgeon them with their own hate.
Stay educated. Absolutely. Absorb every piece of media that you can, both the ones you agree with and disagree with, so you are well educated on this topic.
And make sure that youth vote is there. Make sure the people who are 18 and able to vote are registered, and we'll make sure their voices are heard.
And we could do all of that, and it still won't be enough. You know, we still have to work harder.
I want to provide a dose of realism for us in this conversation. How do we get LGBTQ in Florida and around the country? All we need is 1%. We are a swing. LGBT can deliver the 1%. We lost. DeSantis got elected in Florida by 14,000 votes out of something in the a proximity of 10 million, 14,000 votes. LGBT is the swing. 1%, 2% makes all the difference. The problem is, how do we get LGBTQ in Florida and other places around the country to do exactly what you just said? Even to get them to vote, much less research, much less pay attention, much less care. How do we do that?
Keep talking. Faye, that's absolutely disappointing to hear that some activists were there saying this is for nothing. Absolutely not. If you are to a crowd of one person or to 1,000 people or to 1,000,000 people, your voice is being heard by somebody. The things that I say and the things that everybody on this panel is saying tonight are going to be heard by so many people, and that's so important to have that and to recognize that you're not by yourself, and there's more than just you who thinks this way. And getting them involved, go vote with your friends together, make it a group event, make it a thing that you can say, we actively participated, because without that participation, we're going to be stuck with the old people who are used to voting, and make sure that we make voting more accessible to people, especially to extra marginalized communities, Black, Brown, POC, disabled people, everything. Make it more accessible, let their voice be heard, and let it be known how they stand.
And the question is this going to be, do you have to lose your rights in order to finally do something? Or is the threat of losing your rights, is that going to be enough? That's the question.
It might not be enough.
What do you think?
Well, I mean, we could pretend there could be great loss here of rights. And will that be enough? I mean, I hope so. I really just hope people, I hope the threat will be enough to take action.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Faye.
No, I have friends that like once marriage equality passed, they were done helping. They literally were like, okay, we've arrived. And I was like, you stupid Emma, I mean, are you serious? And that is across the board in many instances that people are just like, okay, we got that, we're fine. People don't think that can be taken back just as easily. You know, and then with the voting, think about some of these laws that they're trying to pass now that you can't give somebody water when they're online. Who the hell cares? Like, are you serious? Like, this is something that they're vying for when there's a much bigger problem to focus on.
That is such a dichotomy. In Kentucky, whenever marriage equality passed, I got to be at Lexington Pride the day after it passed. But I'm also, my alma mater, Morehead State University, I was right there in the city whenever Kim Davis said, I'm not issuing marriage licenses to anyone. And you got to see how many people were out there celebrating versus how many people showed up to make sure that she was going to do her job.
You know, it's happening out after all, and even as important as Christina's observation is, I have to draw attention to Morehead University.
I just got it.
I'm sure that they came out with them during my tenure as a student. There are shirts that do say more and then they say head.
Yes. Exactly.
Feel free to go to moreheadstate.edu and find them in the bookstore website.
Christina, I'm sorry, I have to ask a question. Did you graduate cum laude?
Oh,
Wow.
I graduated magna cum laude.
I crashed the show.
You totally, wow,
I
what an
did.
important topic, Alan. Look where you took us.
Where I took us, exactly. I'm curious in terms of where we are and what we're watching. You know, the Republicans haven't won a national election in 20 years.
Oh, wow.
The majority vote of America, if it was a simple, you didn't go through the Electoral College, et cetera, and so on, the Democrats have won every election for 20 plus years. But the process of how it is revived, gerrymandering, districts, states, Electoral College, and then, of course, on January 6th, overturn the electoral vote and commandeer, using the Department of Defense and the military to steal the voting machines coming. They haven't won an election in 20 years, but it hasn't mattered. Are you pessimistic about where America is going and the democracy of America? Do you have pessimism, or you go, the LGBTQ community is just going to march on and we're going to continue? Our Stonewall is ahead of us. Do you think it is?
Both. I think that our Stonewall is ahead of us, but we're going to have to fight tooth and nail every freaking step of the way. Like, it's just not going to be easy.
Well, and living here specifically, living in the country, but also living in Florida, seeing interesting changes, especially in South Florida, the number of young people who are now living here. You know, it's not the traditional blue-haired ladies. I always say the blue-haired ladies down here now have blue mohawks and they're colored with, manic panic. That's the blue-haired lady. And I feel like this infusion of young people here specifically is an exciting thing and possibly a turning point.
Yeah, and by the way, every time I look at Greg and I look at John, I think of blue hair. Oh, wait, no, I don't.
Mine's pink,
It's,
so I can't speak to
right.
it.
Well, it's, again, something that we're going to follow closely. This is the midterm elections. We have a lot at stake. There is a lot at stake, and we can't take anything for granted. I'm reminded, by the way, John Lewis wrote his brilliant book, and he walked across the Selma Bridge and was beaten and jailed and was repeatedly asked, how do you deal with what you dealt with after you were beaten and jailed repeatedly? Because the police and the politicians of the day, they knew exactly what they were doing, which is to beat him down. That's what he needed to do, that they needed to do, to discourage him out of the leadership, the MLK leadership, all of the civil rights activists. And his answer to it repeatedly was, after going to bed crying, I woke up and said, okay, now I have to start all over again. Every single day. I wonder if LGBT is capable of doing what John Lewis did in 1962, which is to get up tomorrow and say, we're going to start all over again. We'll watch. We'll talk about it here at It's Happening Out. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBT